Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back the Far From Pro podcast. I am your host, Evan Walsh, and with me is the man, the myth, the legend, my co-host, Joseph Meyer. And Super Wild Card Weekend is officially over. So I don't have anything for the hot or not segment today, but my co-host here, Joseph, seems to have a not for us. And for those of you who have been tuning into the show recently, in past episodes, for those of you who don't know, I am a Denver Broncos fan. However, my co-host Joseph is a Los Angeles Chargers fan. And for those of you who didn't watch the games this weekend, the Los Angeles Chargers took one of the most brutal losses in Wild Card Weekend history. Just to give a little background information. So, Joseph, what's your not for this week?
My not, Evan, is the soul of a 9-year-old boy who watched his first NFL game back in 2010. And that game that he chose to watch was the 2010 Divisional round playoff game versus the Chargers, who were 13-3 at the time, with literally one of the best teams that I've ever seen, with Phil Rivers at quarterback, facing off against Mark Sanchez. Now, I doubt you watched that game. You may not remember that game. They lost to Mark Sanchez. The Chargers lost to Mark Sanchez. The 13-3 San Diego Chargers at the time lost to Mark Sanchez and the New York Jets to go to the to the AFC Championship game. That was the first game that I ever watched. In case you were wondering, that little boy is me. That was the first game I ever watched. You know what I got out of that game? I should be a Chargers fan. Now, that was probably the worst mistake that I've ever made in my life. Because over the years, and that's been about 13 years now, of being a fan of this absolutely poverty franchise that causes me pain every single season, I have learned one thing, Evan, and that is that anything is possible. So even me, sitting there, 27-0, watching at a sports bar, I'm thinking, there is no way, right? There's no way. There's no way. There's no possible way. But then I said, whoa. We've seen this, Joseph. How many times have we seen this? How many times have the San Diego Chargers, now the Los Angeles Chargers, changed cities, changed coaches, changed quarterbacks, changed general managers? It doesn't matter, Evan. It is always charging. It is always losing games you shouldn't lose in stupid ways, in painful ways. My parents like to laugh at me for it because it happens every year. They've seen this boy grow up from 9 years old to now 20 years old, having the heartbreak. I've seen 2 playoff wins in my entire life. Those were very glorious days. Evan, were you surprised? Because we shouldn't have been surprised. Why were we surprised? It's the Chargers. It was the Chargers. Good job, Trevor Lawrence. But let's be honest here. The Jags don't win that game if it's any other team except maybe the Falcons. It was a tough weekend for me, Evan. It was a very tough weekend. It's been a couple days, so my anger has turned into sadness. But man, that anger and sadness at once. It was tough to watch football the next day. It just, watching football does not hit the same after you've seen those horrible atrocities take place on the field on Saturday night. I loved the clowning. I loved all the texts. I loved all the DMs that I got. It really made me feel better. You know what the worst part, Evan, was? It wasn't even the fact that people were clowning me. It was people were apologizing to me. They said, "I'm so sorry that your team has to suck this bad." That really puts it in perspective. I'm glad you enjoyed the night because I know you picked the Jaguars. So I'm glad it was enjoyable for you. It was not enjoyable for me.
So let's get into it. That was Joseph's not. So let's just get right into it. The first game actually that we will start with is, in fact, the Chargers and Jaguars, which I know Joseph might not want to. I have a few things I'd like to say. So first off, let's
dive in. Let's dive in, shall we? Let's just dive right in.
I did call this out from the beginning. I did say the Jaguars going to win. I did say by 30. They didn't end up doing that. But
by 1.
So a few things. So I gotta be honest. Besides you, I've actually never even met another Chargers fan in real life. I was looking at some of the Chargers numbers, and as a franchise, it's sort of depressing. You gotta think they have the lowest home attendance rate in all of NFL football.
Not this year, but
Their
yeah.
head coach before the season had to literally admit in a press conference, he said, "Well, I'm hopefully going to come in here and stop the whole charging aspect." By you admitting that there is a charging aspect, is saying that you need to go in there and fix something from the start. It's putting in bad mojo already. Okay. Now, a lot of questions are arising whether Brandon Staley's going to get fired. I see they fired their OC, Joe Lombardi. There's a lot of questions that are up in there. I understand about the whole situation. The whole game was a mess, even when they were up, when they got from 27-0 onward. Complete catastrophe. It was hard to watch. To be quite frank with you, Joseph, up until that 27-0 point, I don't think there were many people on the earth that were like, here come the Jaguars. Here they come.
No.
Overall, for them to put out that performance was absolutely amazing. Trevor Lawrence coming back from 4 interceptions, showing that he can be an elite level down the field quarterback that this Jacksonville Jaguars needed. The first overall pick, he's filling into those shoes, which is very impressive. Now, Joseph, I understand it's a very hard loss, and this is another thing I want to say about the NFL playoffs. I want to kind of realize, teams like me, teams like all these low-level teams that don't even make it to the playoffs, you would think like finding out like your season's over, like you're not making it to the playoffs would hurt a lot. But to be quite frank, there's something about like making it to the playoffs and then just getting knocked out that hurts just so much more than not even getting there. And I
Because
kind
it
of
makes the
realized
season
this from like
makes the
different.
season irrelevant.
Oh,
This season
it
didn't matter.
does, and it hurts because you got to put in all that work to be 10-7. You're above 500 team, and then you just lose in the first round to a team that you could have easily beat. It's got to hurt as an NFL fan. My team doesn't even get there, so I don't even get the opportunity of feeling that pain. So that was all in all. It was a good Saturday night game. Unfortunately, it did not go in Joe's way, but it was an amazing comeback. It was a good game to watch the whole time. And I do have to apologize for the Asante Samuel slammer. I didn't even say he was a good player. I never talked good about him. He came out at 3 interceptions, so I just want to
He's a
say
stud.
good for him. That was a great play. Yeah, it was a phenomenal game by his part. He probably caught a bag just from that game alone, so I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to hate on him.
Dude,
So,
I,
good
I,
for
I
him.
genuinely, I do not understand how it happened. Like, I watched every single snap. It was just slow, just pain. It wasn't like, if I was a Saints fan, Minneapolis Miracle, you're like, you think you're going to win and just boom, it's gone like that. This was slow. This was methodical. You could see it coming and it just knew right to the very end. They just beat you by 1 point. How on earth do you have a +5 turnover differential? That is 5 extra possessions and lose a football game. That is incredible. I mean, that is incredible. It's never happened in the history of the NFL. Probably will never happen again. 99.99999% of the time, if you start 27-0 with 5 turnovers, you're winning that game, and they found the 1.0001% way to lose. It's painful. They're going to be back next year. They're going to be solid next year. We all know it. They have the pieces. It's just about, can they put it together? Man, but it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, I'm excited for the Jaguars and the Chargers to come back next year. They're both going to be two exciting teams. I think the Jaguars
Up and coming
very
teams.
good matchup going into Kansas City. Yes, exactly.
Go Jags.
The NFL side
Go Jags. I'm cheering for the Jaguars here on out.
I can understand why, Joseph. I can completely see. All in all, it was a good football game. Two good teams. Promise them coming. A lot of promise to show. Can't get too upset about it, but we do need to keep moving forward. Let's talk about the Seahawks Niners. Not too much to talk about, unfortunately. I understand you might have had a little bit of a prediction of the Seahawks maybe coming in, slowing down San Fran, maybe doing a little something to them.
It was there for a half. It was
there for half, and to be quite frank, they kind of talked about it. I was hearing someone talk about it, and they said it perfectly. In order for them to win that game, Geno Smith had to play perfect. The second he threw that interception, the second things started slowing down, he had these turnovers, it was over for them. Geno Smith needed to play a perfect football game for them to have any chance to win. Once he started slipping out, the 49ers took advantage. Their offense started rolling. Brock goddamn Purdy looks absolutely phenomenal. I don't know what it is.
What did you post? You were like, he's got... Yeah.
He's pissing right through a USDA drug test. He's pissing right through the cup, right through the cup. There's no way that guy is on
Oh.
some sort of PEDs, TRT, hormone replacement therapy, whatever it may be. He's on something. He's on the TB12 method. I don't know what he's doing. It was unbelievable to watch. Now I will admit, in the beginning of the game, he missed a lot of throws. There were a lot of missed throws, a lot of bad thrown balls, and I can see that in him. But once he started getting a groove, Joseph, it was a legit problem. He
Just a
was
winner,
sitting
man.
back there, snipe, legit problem. If he can keep playing like that, the Niners are looking Super Bowl.
I mean,
bound
man,
for sure.
their pieces are so good. I mean, to think that Christian McCaffrey wasn't on this team preseason, man, Christian McCaffrey is an amazing piece. We've been robbed of not seeing CMC for all these years because he gets injured. But wow, I mean, it's incredible. I don't know how they're going to get stopped. I think they're going to run through the NFC, in my opinion. Because you said the Vikings could take him down. That obviously couldn't happen now. So the Eagles are about the only team left I think has a good chance here. But wow, I mean, what a team effort. Kyle Shanahan's just putting on his best show. There's no words to describe how much of a winner this organization is. Like, they just win games, and that's all you got to do. And you can, if I'm the Cowboys, man, and we'll get to them in a second. Great performance, but man, I'm worried. I'm worried about the 49ers rolling up into San Fran. But yeah, like you said, 49ers big win. Seahawks good season. We can move on from there. What was the next game? We already got Chargers. What was the morning game? Bills Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
Dolphins look pretty good.
Yeah, and God, I was just talking about this with somebody the other day, and for the next 3 games, it's kind of perfect. But I'm not going to lie to you, Joseph. The Bills and the Bengals, 2 teams that did not look good in their wild card performance. I'm sorry, Josh Allen did not look good, whether it was turning the ball over, making dumb decisions, interceptions, fumble return for a touchdown. Skylar Thompson actually played non-awful game. You're kind of at a disadvantage with a starting quarterback with his first name is Skylar. Don't want to get into that. But what I do want to get into is how good this Miami Dolphins team really did play. I think everyone expected sort of a blowout. One of the biggest spreads in wild card history. I think it was 12.5 points. Completely and utterly just thought it was 13 going to be a complete blowout. And the Dolphins came and they played and they were in it for a while. And the Bills, I'm a little disappointed that they put on that performance against a third-string quarterback in the wild card home game. I really hope they play better against the Bengals. But then again, the Bengals didn't really play that great against the Ravens. But we'll get to them later. But all in all, I was really happy with the Dolphins and their performance. And I mean, there's really not much else you can say except for the fact that the Bills should be very concerned about their gameplay. Because if they play like that against the Bengals, the Chiefs, or any of these high-level teams, they're going to get just waxed.
Yeah, I mean, you'd rather have a bad game against the Dolphins and get your nerves out. But right, they got the Bengals coming into town this week. You can't turn the ball over that many times against a team that's going to take advantage against you like that. So it was a valiant effort from the Dolphins. I don't know where you go this offseason because, yeah, you can say Tua's the guy, but we saw what Mike McDaniel was able to do with Skylar Thompson. So is Tua just a beneficiary of that? They put up 33 points against the Bills, I believe it was.
No. Don't do this. We all know the drill. Look, I understand the Tua injuries, and I understand Tua being out, and he looks good. Skylar Thompson is not that.
No, I'm not saying Skylar Thompson. Let me get this straight. I'm saying if there's another veteran out there like Derek Carr or Tom Brady that wants to come into a stacked Dolphins team with good coaching, do you move on from Tua? That's going to be the question this offseason because of the health. Because if Tua misses as much time as he did this year with 3 concussions, you can't play him. I mean, the poor guy's going to have CTE by the time he's 25. I mean, it's just sad to see. So I don't know. They got questions to answer, but it was a valiant effort.
I do agree. That is a question, but at the end of the day, I think, like you said, the only thing that's going to be stopping Tua is injury. I do understand the injury aspect. Yes, he has a concussion. He's out. And having a brain injury is a legit problem. And for Tua, having whether it was the field injury that he had against the Bengals on that Monday night or that Thursday night game, whether it was literally all the injuries he had with concussions. Here's the deal: he's gonna have all offseason recover. He'll be more than fully recovered by next season. Tua has never shown to you that he can't be the starting quarterback. When he does play, and by the way, I will say this, if he was playing in that divisional game fully healthy against the Bills, they win that game. Tua is
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it.
This and that's why I think, yes, you could go with the veteran quarterback. Or the problem with that is, what's the point? Like, you just gave Tua the reins this year. He looked pretty damn good when he was playing. Yes, he did get hurt, so that hurt your team a lot. You got to understand, if Tua plays a full season, which you are banking on, I do know, but if you do bank on him and it hits with a full season, I bet they win 10 to 11 games this year, and they could be even as 5 or 6 seed. And to me, it's like, I don't see a reason to move on from Tua. I don't see a reason to not give Tua a chance, but maybe that's just me. We don't know what goes on in the front office.
Right. No, I agree. I mean, you saw enough out of him this year to make him starting quarterback, but I think the Dolphins is a Super Bowl competitive roster. Like, it's a Super Bowl team. And so is Tua the guy that's going to lead you there? I'm not sure. The question then becomes, is it Tua? Because Tua does have limitations even when healthy. He doesn't have the same arm strength that some of these elite quarterbacks have. So are you relying on Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill to just catch slants over the middle and take him to the house? That's not a very repetitive process that you can take to a Super Bowl 4 games in a row against the NFL's best. Now, Tua is definitely a starting quarterback, and I don't doubt he'll be back if he's healthy. Here's the problem. Do you think he's going to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback? In the AFC, we see how many good quarterbacks there are, right? Like, right now, the pretty much everyone's saying Justin Herbert is the 5th best quarterback in the AFC. 5th best. Because now Trevor Lawrence is better than him. So that means you slide Tua in at 6 there. That's going to be tough to, even if Tua is the 6th best quarterback, which could be argued, it's still tough to make that argument. You still got Lamar coming back next year, probably, unless he's with the Jets, like I've been saying. So is Tua a Super Bowl winning guy? I don't know. Certainly good enough to be a starter, though, if he's healthy.
Very good comments. Very, very. I guess you're right. That is the question they need to ask this offseason, which we will see if they will. But I think there's this game I really wanted to talk about. Vikings-Giants.
Yikes.
God, man. Vikings fans. Joseph, I'm going to let you start. I honestly don't even know where to start from here. I don't even know if I have words. You know what I mean?
It was the most predictable upset. It was one of the most predictable upsets that I've seen in a while. Like, it felt like everybody I saw picked the Giants. So, I mean, it was a toss-up game. The Vikings could have easily won that game. It's not on Kirk. I don't like the Kirk slander. It's not on Kirk. He's not an elite quarterback, but he's good enough to win that game. The defense has to be better. The defensive coordinator has to be gone. They have to change up the whole side of the defense. It's going to be a little bit of a rebuild here. I think the offense is still certainly good enough to compete in the division, and the Lions are up and coming, but that division's still up for the taking easily. And the NFC doesn't have the same stacked level as the AFC. So Vikings aren't a complete, tear it down, but what a disappointing performance. I mean, you see Daniel Jones just absolutely look like a stud against you. That's a bad look. I love what Daniel Jones has done this year, but he looked incredible. I mean, he was running all over the yard. He was making dudes look silly. Vikings got it figured out, but I loved how there were a lot of Vikings fans that I know that didn't chirp me for the Chargers loss because they knew. A lot of them knew what was coming the next day. A lot of them knew in the back of their head, we're not making it to the next round either.
Yeah, a little too busy worried about their game. Yeah, I mean, I said before the game, the number one thing that's going to hurt the Vikings this postseason is their defense. And look what happened. Their defense hurt them. Saquon Barkley looked freaking elite. Looked like him old self. 2 touchdowns, doing spin moves and jump cuts. He looked absolutely phenomenal. And like you said, Daniel Jones might have just caught himself a bag after that game alone. Yeah. Just an unbelievable performance. He's been playing good this whole second half stretch of the NFL season. He's never really been playing good all year. This Giants team, if you don't think they're going to give Philly a legit problem this coming weekend, I don't know what to tell you. You don't know football. They're going to give Philly a legit problem this weekend. That's going to be a fun game to watch. But For Minnesota, yeah, you're right. It's definitely not a rebuild. It's a reload year. It's going to reload the
Yeah.
offense. Sign Justin Jefferson. Sign Hawkinson. Hopefully keep Cook. You're right. Cousins is not the problem. He's playing just up to his standards. Like I said, if the defense plays semi good that game, they win, no doubt. Their offense, it's just their offense. Sometimes they just can't keep up with the fact their defense is so bad and screws them over and puts them in such bad positions. 100%
It's
right.
garbage.
Vikings Giants. Tough game to watch for Vikings fans. I'm sorry for the loss. I don't want to talk about it too much because we're homers and we have a lot of friends who are Vikings fans, so we don't want to get into it and ruin their hearts too much. Let's move on to the Bengals Ravens game. And
Not too much here. I just
what?
think the
Yeah,
Bengals
I
got
was
to play
just gonna
better than
say
that.
this.
They
Not like
can't.
a like you know what? And the Bengals are just that team that just get it done. And I think the Bengals, no matter what
Yeah.
team you're playing, whether you're the best team in the league or worst team in the league, they'll beat you by 3 points, 7 points. They'll never blow you out, but you know what? They're going to pull off that win every single time. And maybe the Bengals
Yeah.
are just that type of team and franchise. I don't know.
It's
I don't know.
AFC North
Maybe.
football. It was going to be one of those weird games where a 98-yard, like, what do we do? Fumble recovery? Why are we QB
Yeah.
sneaking on the 2-yard line? I don't understand. Why are we going high, go low there? Snoop Huntley played. He had himself a game, but for the Bengals, you can't repeat that performance. But we also saw the Bills have a bad performance, so it's like who actually. I think it's just a warm up game. Again, like these early round games against these low level opponents. I'm not too concerned. I don't. They're your Super Bowl pick. You do feel worse about it now?
No. I like I said, I just feel like the Bengals are that type of team. They're just going to get it done. It's always hard with these like interdivision teams when you're playing a team three
Yeah.
times in 1 year. And playing within your division, like more than two times, even a second game or third game, you just know the team so well. It doesn't matter if they're the best team in the league or the worst team in the league. Like you've seen it before. You've played each other so many times. It's like it really like we can figure each other out. Bills, they don't play the Bengals like that. They didn't even play them this year, really. So like this is going to be a brand new matchup. They're going to come out slinging. Same with the Bills. That's going
It's
to
gonna
be
be
a really
exciting.
fun game to watch. And no, I don't feel bad on my prediction at all. The only prediction I do feel bad about is the
And we can
next
move
game
straight into that.
that we can move straight into is the
Wow.
Bucks and the Cowboys. You want to talk about a fraudulent, god awful football team? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have completely and utterly let
Holy.
Tom Brady down. Threw the ball 66 times on Monday night, and they were still
No run
dog
game,
crap.
no
One of the worst teams in
defense.
football. Oh my God, they sucked.
Wow.
It was hard to watch. They were freaking horrible. Byron Leftwich got put in there. They thought he was going to be phenomenal this season. Hopefully, he'd be the
No.
change. Hell no. The guy is garbage. The guy does not know how to coach a football team. He will be fired. He will never see another team
think he
again.
already
There's
got
no
fired.
chance. Good. Keep him fired. He's god awful. I hope he's never put into another NFL organization again. He was so bad. Tom Brady completely and utterly let that team down, in my opinion. He did not see Tom Brady's at the age now where he just refuses to get hit. So if he's like even like 3 seconds away from someone coming to sack him, throw the ball on the ground. I understand Tom Brady. You can hit Rashad White for 4 and 5 yard catches 100 times in a row. Anybody can do it. And then here's what's their game plan. Come down the field, hit Rashad Rice twice for like quick 4 yard gains, and then bomb it to Mike Evans, which never worked one time. Overall, the Buccaneers were horrible to watch. Even their special teams just made me throw up. They were so gross. Everything about that team was terrible. Congrats on the Cowboys and their first divisional win. They've lost the last 6. They
About them
finally won on the
Cowboys.
road. Yeah, good for them. Nothing against the Cowboys. I think Dak played phenomenal. I think their defense played great. Overall, great showing for them, which gives me a lot of hope for them going into San Fran to give them a fight. Overall, F the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know everyone says put your money on Brady in the playoffs. Screw that. I did it. He screwed me over. I have nothing to do with
The
those
one
guys.
time it's
That's it. That's that.
the one time. The one time. Yeah, he's
One time, dude. One
you
time.
can't. I mean, you can't. Tom Brady's got to get out of there, I think, because Todd Bowles defense is just horrid. So I don't know what we're doing. I mean, just gross.
God, it's
I
hard
don't.
to
I don't
watch.
think. Do you think he retires? Do you think he retires? I mean, we can have this discussion all day. Do you think he retires? Yes or no?
No, I think now that he's done with his wife, he doesn't have to play that game of retiring and not retiring. I think he's for sure
Yeah.
coming back another year. I think he's for sure not going to be with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, though. I think he's either going to play with. I mean, I'm not. We'll get into that later in the midway
Yeah.
through the season when things are ramping up and be closer. I'm not going to get into now, but he will definitely not be playing with the Buccaneers. I don't think you could pay him $1 billion to play with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. No chance.
All right. All right, this is next week. Some big games. I'm excited. This is when the wild card weekend there were some not so great matchups. They were mostly good games, but not some great matchups. This weekend, some
All games
fantastic
ended up
matchups.
being
Let's
good,
just,
in my opinion.
yeah,
Besides the Bucks and Cowboys,
besides
every
Bucks,
game
yeah, that was
during the
terrible.
weekend was good.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It was a good game.
I was wrong on the 7 seeds. They both played pretty. They played better than I thought they'd play, at least for a half for Seattle. But this week, they're now the big boys are coming out. This game just hurts me. This first game, Jaguars Chiefs, team that beat my team in the worst performance ever, versus my team's biggest rival. Yikes! I mean, I don't know where to go here. I want the Chiefs to lose in the same way that we did, just so that I can clown on them. But I have a feeling they're just gonna roll over Trevor Lawrence, and they're gonna turn his 4 turnovers into 28 points, which we couldn't do. So
Yeah, I think it's tough. I just don't see the Jaguar defense keeping up with the Chiefs offense. I think the Chiefs offense straight up overpower them. And more importantly, I don't think the Chiefs defense is that good, but I do think that Trevor Lawrence coming into a cold environment. Now it is a Saturday game, and Trevor Lawrence has never lost on Saturday.
he's never lost,
and
on
he
a
still
Saturday.
holds to that 37-0 in his career. So is this where it ends? I don't know. It's just so hard to be able to say, oh, the Jaguars are going to go into Kansas City after they just came off a nice, well-rested bye. After these guys just came from an absolute bloodbath, a dogfight against the Chargers. Like,
Yeah.
they're going to be hurting. They're going to be,
The
I don't know.
emotions, yeah.
In my opinion, I don't see a way the Jaguars come into the Arrowhead, dominate the Chiefs, slow them down offensively. I just don't see it. I have the Chiefs dominating the Jaguars this weekend, no doubt. No doubt.
You think dominate? Okay. I think the Chiefs win. I'm going to say it's a little closer. I actually might take the Jags to cover the spread here because it's a fat spread. I think it's a 9.5 right now. So I might take the Jags to cover. I think this might be a shootout. I think this could be more of like a 38-28 type game where the Jags pull off a little backdoor cover. I want the Chiefs to lose so bad here because that would be so sweet. This number 1 seed, MVP, and then they just lose to the Jags just like my team did. Do I have faith that it's going to happen? No. I think this could be like the game the Chiefs and the Browns a couple years ago. Do you remember that game? Where it was like the up-and-coming Cleveland Browns, and they gave them a fight, but it was just the Chiefs at the end of the day. The Chiefs always just get the stupid calls. They always get things to go their way. The refs are on their side. Patrick Mahomes pulls some just absolute dumb stuff out of his butt. Like, I think the Chiefs win this one, but I think the Jags cover. I'll take the Jags to cover, and we'll see how the line changes here. But Chiefs and Arrowhead, tough to beat.
Zero doubt about it. What's the second game again? Is the
second game on Saturday is Giants Eagles, little NFC East divisional round action.
Yeah, I mean, I said it earlier. I think the Giants are going to give Philly a legit game. I think this is going to be a close game. If I had to pick a winner, gun to my head, I'm picking Philly. In Philly, I think unless Jalen Hurts has some severe injury that I don't know about and he's just not going to play at that level, I think this team is just – I think they're very, 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 very well coached and put together right now. I think their team chemistry and who they are as Philly, it looks really, really, really good. And I'm impressed, and I really wish them to win because I would love to see them in the NFC Championship game. So I'm going to get Philly and beating Eagles here. I still think the Giants are going to give them like a legitimate game, legitly slow them down, legitly give them problems, no doubt about it. But to me, I don't see a way the Giants come in and dominate. I don't see a way that Philly dominates. I think we're going to have a really close football game here Saturday night.
All right. So I've been riding with the Eagles all year. As you know, I picked them to be the number 1 seed. I picked them to be in the spot. Now I've picked the 49ers to go to the Super Bowl. So this would be the last game that I can pick Philly to win. So I'm obviously going to pick them to win. But, I'm going to go a step farther. I think the Philadelphia Eagles stomp Danny Dimes and the New York Giants. Brian Daboll, your little run here is going to come to an end. The Eagles are going to destroy the Giants on Saturday night prime time. It's going to happen. They've been a little bit slept on lately. I don't know if we're noticing this. The Eagles, remember, they're 14-3, and they're the number one seed, and no one's really talking about them as a legit Super Bowl contender. So I think they take that to heart. They've had 2 weeks to prepare. I think they're ready. They're going to come out there. Jalen Hurts is completely healthy at this point. He's going to ball out, and the Philadelphia Eagles move on. NFC Championship game at Lincoln Financial Field. That's going to be a ruckus environment. Would not want to be a visiting fan there because you will probably get killed or at least, seriously injured. So, yeah, I'm taking the Eagles to win.
Okay. Good picks. Is his first game Sunday? Is that the Cowboys-Niners, or is that the night game?
Sadly, the Bengals-Bills is not a night game. I wish that was a night game, but that is Sunday at 2 p.m. Central, so 3 p.m. Eastern for you over there on your Florida coast. Bengals-Bills.
Okay.
This is obviously the biggest game of the weekend, in my opinion, just because the whole storylines. This was the game that got canceled. I think it's just going to live up to be an epic matchup. Can the Bills make it out of the divisional round? They didn't last year. What do you think?
Yeah, this is going to be an absolute. I think it's going to be a gunsel. I think it's going to be the best game of the playoffs. I'm not even just saying this. Okay. I seriously think that the Bengals and Bills have a lot of turmoil from that missed game they had before. I think that Joe Burrow and Josh Allen are both fiercely competitive people, and I think both of them understand that Joe Burrow has Patrick Mahomes' number, and I don't think Josh Allen wants him to have his number either. I think this is the one thing that Josh Allen will be able to say he has over Patrick Mahomes. He say, I've never lost to Joe Burrow. And all you do is lose to Joe Burrow. And I really think that Josh Allen does not want to lose this game, and I don't think Joe Burrow wants to lose in general. So I think that I just don't see a way that these two teams don't come out firing, slinging the ball, playing great defense. I think it's going to be a legit guns fight. If I had to pick a team, I'm picking my Bengals because I think the Bengals are going to win it all, and I see the Bengals pulling out. I just think it's going to be a really fun game to watch. Super competitive. Super competitive.
Yeah, I like that. I think right now the Bengals, their Bengals are a little bit too salty still for me. I think they're still kind of riding off this we got screwed thing, and back-to-back weekends against the Ravens will really beat you up. I don't think people are talking about this. The Ravens are a nasty team. You do not want to face them in January. Now they had to do it back-to-back weeks, so they've been in two kind of straight ugly dog fights against the Ravens. I know the first one was a little bit of a bigger, margin that they won by, but I think the Bills will be ready. Obviously, I'm going to take the Bills because they're my Super Bowl team. So we got a little bit of a Super Bowl winner match fight. So one of us is going to lose our Super Bowl champion this week. You certainly could lose both of your Super Bowl teams this week if the Bengals lose. So I'm going to take the Bills. I think Josh Allen, the chances of him having 2 really bad games in a row are pretty slim, so I think he bounces back in a strong way. I think the DeMar Hamlin stuff is kind of not faded, but kind of they're past that point of just riding on emotion now because they've had 2 straight home playoff games since then. He's been in the facility. They're kind of back to normal, kind of back to just in this grind. So yeah, I think the Bills win. Obviously, I'm going to take them. I think you're right though. I think it's going to be an incredible game, very similar to what we saw last year with the Chiefs and the Bills in the divisional round. I think the winner of this game goes to the Super Bowl. I think the winner of this game goes to the Super Bowl. I think the Chiefs lose to either of these teams in the next round.
Bold prediction. Something we will talk about in next week's episode. And for the final and last game of the whole weekend of divisional weekend is the Niners-Cowboys. I think this is an old classic. It's an iconic matchup. This is going to be fun. I think for a lot of people, this is a very old school matchup that we have seen hundreds of times before. It feels like they've matched up so many times. They've gone through the playoffs against each other so many times. This is going to be exciting. Brock Purdy versus Dak Prescott in San Fran. Now, if I'm picking San Fran to win this game. I just see the San Francisco defense slowing down Dak Prescott. I do see the Dallas defense giving San Fran their worst nightmare so far. I do see San Fran's offense sort of slowing down. Brock Purdy getting run into Micah Parsons a few times, getting sacked, getting slowed down. I do see them slowing down the 49ers offense, but all in all, I think just with all 3 sides of football, I don't see the 49ers losing to the Cowboys. I have the 49ers winning this matchup. What do you think, Joseph?
There were the days of Steve Young versus Troy Aikman, and now we have an even better matchup here. Brock Purdy versus Dak Prescott. Just 2 of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, right?
Hall of
It's
Famers
not even
potentially.
close. This is the biggest matchup in these two teams' history. So it's got to be a great game, right? All seriousness, I don't think the Cowboys are going to have the same success against the 49ers defense. Dak Prescott played great. Don't get me wrong, but man, like I said, the Bucs defense is horrible. So I think the chances of them having the same success on offense are pretty slim against this 49ers defense that is incredible. You can't miss 4 PATs against the 49ers, and you probably are going to need some field goals too. So Brett Maher, take a guess where Brett Maher went to college. Just take a wild guess. Missed Kicks University, I like to call it.
Where?
Right here in
Why do I
Lincoln,
have no
Nebraska.
idea? Stop.
Nebraska,
He was a
baby.
Cornhusker?
Yep.
Stop.
Yep. So no surprise.
Was he good in
He misses kicks. Yeah, he's a great NFL kicker. He's been great all this season. I don't know what happened, but I just think it's funny.
Actually,
Of course he misses kicks. He's from here.
it's 5. It's 5 extra points he missed because he missed the last one in the last game too. So technically, he missed 5 extra points in a row.
Well, that's not a good look for him. That was about the only thing
Not
that
at
went
all,
wrong
but-
for the Cowboys.
But Jerry Jones,
But he's gonna-
you said he's sticking with him.
Okay, so well, there you go.
I don't know.
He better not make another mistake, otherwise he is whoop. If he misses another extra point against the Cowboys, imagine they lose. Imagine they lose on a Brett Maher kick and Jerry Jones kept him. Whoop whoop.
Oh, Jerry, have to sell the team. You have to sell his equity.
Cowboys fans would be
would.
livid. No, I think the 49ers win. I think their offense will be just a little bit too much because I think the defenses are both solid, but I think the Cowboys are going to struggle to recreate that offensive success. But props to Dak Prescott. Yeah. They've kind of flown under the radar this year a little bit. People weren't really hyping him up, so he kind of just came in there and did his business against the GOAT. Other than Brock Purdy. Now he's going back-to-back GOATs, so it's a tough look for the Cowboys. Mike McCarthy wins a playoff game. Wow. That's Mike McCarthy's first playoff win with the Cowboys. Like, come on, what are we doing? So,
Well,
Mike McCarthy, absolute
gotta
fraud.
get it at some point, right?
I guess. He is just a horrible coach. They should have fired him a long time ago, but you can't now because he won a playoff game. So I got the Niners with the Cowboys. The NFL scriptwriters, man. They're you got your two rising young stars, Patrick Mahomes, Trevor Lawrence. You got an NFC East classic showdown, Giants, Eagles. You got a rematch of the canceled game that caused all this buzz with Damar Hamlin, Bills and Bengals. And then you got your classic 49ers Cowboys that two of the biggest fan bases in the country. NFL scriptwriters going heavy. And they midway through last week's game, the Chargers and the Jaguars are like, shoot, we got to get Trevor Lawrence in the second round. So let's make a phone call into headquarters and say let's change up this. The football gods were like, hold up, it's a Saturday, he can't lose today. So there we go. We'll get to see that. I'm excited. I'm very excited for this week
to get every quarterback in the playoffs to be under 30 years old. That's just how
Justin Herbert could have done that too.
How the league wants to write it.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've previewed all the games. We have reviewed all the games. Now we just have to go enjoy and watch all the games. We will be back next week to review the divisional round, talk about the championship weekend, talk a little more basketball maybe. Who knows? We'll see. We will let you guys know. We will be sending clips out. Please watch us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, however you get your content. Please hit us up there. And ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy your week. Joseph, send them off.
Yeah, I got one last word for you. Jokic is winning MVP. Peace!